What are we doing today, Tempest?
Yeah, well, if you're in the world of TikTok, you'll know that the TikTok drama train is going through TikTok Station 1 all over again. But
that
this
was
time,
the worst analogy
yeah.
ever.
Yeah, well, I'm not very good at analogies. I'm autistic.
You know what? Own it. Own it.
Yeah, no, we're shit at analogies and metaphors. But this time it's for a good reason, because the guy's a dick. But
you called it a while ago.
I did, yeah, about 3 or 4 months ago. I think.
Mm-hmm. Who are we talking about?
Robbie Harvey. No, wait. The Robbie Harvey.
Yes. As soon as anyone puts "the" in their name, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, The Weeknd, but I don't know you personally, but I can't.
Oh, the best bit that's come out of all of this, though, before we get into the actual drama, is that he, for some reason, he gave up the username of the Robbie Harvey, right?
Did he give it up or did he lose it? Like someone said he lost it.
Well, we don't know. TikTok, we don't know if TikTok took it away or if he accidentally gave it up or anything. We don't know on that. All we know is that he wasn't hacked. That's the only thing that we know. Or the person that the best bit is that somebody stole it. Basically, it was 6:45 in the morning. She says she woke up and then saw that the Robbie Harvey, his username was now user and a bunch of letters and numbers, right? And then she was like, fuck yes. And then got one of her burner accounts and changed it all to the Robbie Harvey. And then now uses it to raise awareness.
There's a ton of them, though. Like when you search Robbie Harvey, there's a ton of Robbie Harvey usernames now.
Yeah. But this one is like, it's his that she's got is the Robbie Harvey.
Let's backtrack for anybody who doesn't know who Robbie Harvey is. Why he's got 3 million followers on TikTok. He is a self-proclaimed, self-diagnosed narcissist and terrible husband who is now reformed from being a terrible husband, his words. His wife was going through cancer treatments and he started making videos. I first saw him when very early days on TikTok, and his whole shtick then was reading terrible things men had said to their wives when they found out that they had been ill or when they'd had a miscarriage. He's got very dramatic facial expressions, really melodramatic music, intensely empathetic facial expressions. And that was how he gained most of his following. Those are the only videos of his I've seen until this recent drama.
Yeah.
But he has made other videos where perhaps he's not as reformed a terrible guy as he thinks he is.
Well, what I said in my rebuttal of him, because I'd seen him a few times, spatterings of, because I talk about sex offenders, so his content gets related to that. And yeah, I saw that kind of stuff that you were just describing. But it was one particular video which kind of got to me, which was when he was talking about Crowder, okay? And then he was talking to abusive husbands. And the thing is like he sets up his content that he is supposed to be a reformed abusive husband who is talking to other men who are at different levels of abusive towards their partners. And he's supposed to be talking to them to help them reform. But his video about the Steven Crowder stuff was it was petulant, whiny, it was condescending, he was aggressive. And it's like all the things that you don't want to be if you're trying to help a group of people realize the error of their ways. And I was just like, what this guy has done is that he's claiming that he's not an abusive person anymore. No, all he has done is change the target group of who he abuses.
But he is still, there was a video that he made where he was talking about how he snapped at his wife and that it's okay to snap sometimes as long as you apologize. But the way he snapped, he's like, I said to my wife, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was kind of like, no, we're not going to do that. Do you understand me? And like the language he used is not the language of snapping.
No.
And then when he talked about it's okay to snap as long as you apologize, like that's abusive behavior 101.
Yeah.
You treat them like shit and then you love bomb them so that they forgive you and they keep coming back. Like he's not reformed. He's just not as terrible to his wife as he used to be.
And he's training other people on how to be abusive. Like one of his bits of advice to women was that if you have a husband or partner who is hitting you, you need to work with them to help them out of it. And that, like, you have to basically give them a chance to try and help them.
No, that's terrible advice. Oh my God, that is, that's advice for the men. That's to remain abusive. Like, how would he think that that's okay to say no? Like, the wording of it, the way he's trying to position it, like, it wasn't that long ago we were seeing that other video of that guy who on a podcast, when women asked, like, if women are in an abusive relationship, what should they do? And he was like, endure. He's just saying the exact same thing, but he's trying to make it sound like in the guise of helping your partner through something.
That endure guy, I think his username or like his persona is MLD, Mike Lima Delta. I don't know what
Major
it stands
League
for.
Douche is what it is, actually.
But that he's the one who's telling women to endure through the domestic violence. He got arrested and charged for bottling a woman in Japan for turning him down. Yeah. This clearly is the kind of group they're all part of.
Yeah, but the thing about, I think what makes Robbie Harvey so insidious is that he doesn't think he's in that group.
Yeah.
He's trying to protect women from that group by telling them to stay with men in that group and try to get them to work through their issues.
Love them out of it. No. If your partner raises a hand to you and connects, then you leave that relationship. That guy is lost. He's already lost the battle. And
it's unfortunate how many times, like, I see women on Reddit in like relationship advice forums being like, my husband or my boyfriend, my partner, we were in a heated fight and he choked me and I don't know what to do now. And like, glaringly, everybody in the comments is of course telling them to leave, but then it's especially more important to leave if choking is a thing, because that's like a major predictor to, like, if your partner chokes you, that's like the sign that they're going to escalate into like murdering you.
And even though like it won't always escalate, like, but it's not worth the fucking risk.
No, it's a pretty good predictor that that's going to happen. I mean, they're already laying there. They already have no qualms about laying their hands on you. It's not like they're going to be like, oh, where did that come from? That was terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you do what Robbie Harvey does and just work them through it.
Yeah. Jesus. So here's hang on. We'll show people what we're talking about. So we've got a clip here, and then this is him reading men's comments about intimacy.
And this is he's particularly proud of this one because it's pinned on his profile. Oh. So it's not just a random video. This is a pinned, like, he recorded it, put it up there, and then was like, yeah, Robbie.
Yeah, that was a good one,
you did
Robbie
it,
boy.
mate. Let's pin that one.
Bitches, I love this one.
This is what men have said to women about intimacy. You knew what you were signing up for. Now be quiet and let me finish. When you tell me no, I don't know if you're being serious or not. I was 6 weeks postpartum when my husband said, I've waited long enough. I won't take no for an answer. It wasn't my fault. You know I can't control myself. I only did this because I needed to know if I still loved you. I had just found out that I had a miscarriage. When I got home, that wasn't enough reason for him to stop. You're mine. I can use you however I choose to. I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have told me no. Look, if you're a man coming into my comments and complaining that I'm not paying you enough attention, that I'm just paying attention to the women and what they go through, and I should be paying attention to you, get over yourself. Look at the comments. Look at the stories that these women are sharing. Look at how many women are telling what they've gone through. Look at how many women are saying, I've heard that comment, I've heard that comment, I've heard all of these comments. This channel is not about you, it's about these women. And if you don't think we've got a problem in this country, in this world, you're too full of yourself. You're too caught up in your emotions. After hearing what I just read, your heart should be filled with empathy.
Well,
he's still, even though he's trying to come across like he's talking to men, he's still not talking to men.
Mm.
He's trying to, the impression that I'm left with is that he's still trying to get women to be like, yeah, you tell him, Robbie, because at no point does he actually lead with anything actionable. There's no, he's saying like, these men are shitty men, full stop. If he really wanted to help men, he would be saying, this is what you need to do. These are the actions you need to take. This is what the steps you need to do to get over this, not just, you should have empathy. And even him, like his empathy is so forced and almost cartoonish.
Yeah.
The way he purses his lips, it almost looks like he's trying to bite back a laugh. Like, I know that's probably not
No, it looked like he was. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Like it's all of his anger's fake, and he's concealing a smirk most of the time.
It's trauma porn. Like that's
I
think a part of him kind of
enjoys it.
Yeah, a little bit. Like it's almost like he's trying to. I mean, again, I'm not a psychologist, nor do I play one on TV, but it almost feels like he's living vicariously through these men. Like they're saying the things that he can't say, like that he used to say, but now he feels like he can't. Because how many videos do you need to make of this without actually following through? And a lot of the women who are backing him up because he says he's amplifying women's voices and he's saying the things that women have said to him or put into his comments. So he's reading those comments, but it's not actually helping anyone. It's not giving anybody a call to action or next steps. It's just putting it out there.
It's exactly what they do in the news, isn't it? They just report about how shit things are without any direction of what's being done to move forward. And that is all he's doing. Like, if you really want to help men, and also, like, if you want to help men deal with their issues better and you want to stop women getting abused, then you actually need to implement something, give them a way forward, show them how to be different. Don't just go, I'm fucking wonderful because I do the bare minimum and don't hit my wife now. And then you've all got to fucking do the same. It's like, no, it's not that easy, dude. Like,
it's like, even if all he did was at the end post the phone numbers for like, here's a domestic helplines or women's shelters or, you know, resources. If he even did the bare minimum, posting a link for resources for people, that would be better than just sitting in his well-lit bedroom reading these trauma stories of women. And 3 million people follow him, and vehemently, like there are a lot of people who vehemently support him. Like they will shit talk other women in support of him because all he does is sit there and read stories.
And this is the thing, is like, you could tell he's very practiced at what he does. And that, like, I can see it there. Like, he admits himself he was an abusive partner. And you can see it in how he conducts his videos. Like, all of the signs are there that this is an abusive, nasty man. And he's just here to manipulate you to get you to give him money. That's
what signs are you seeing?
Well, like, so everything about that video is to basically, it's all emotional manipulation, right? So you've got like the sad music, and then you've got the cadence of his voice, his tone, and he's doing all these fake facial expressions to show you like, oh, look how empathetic and compassionate I am. Oh, this is just, gosh darn it, this is awful. And it's all in an effort to conjure up these feelings and emotions inside of you, right? So that's why you got like the traumatic stories, like the absolute worst stories you can think of. Is cherry picked the absolute worst. And then you combine it with the tone, the cadence, and the sad music. He's generated all of that to make you feel bad about these women. And then what he's then doing is pulling all these fake facial expressions to show you, oh, look, I get it too. Look, we're on the same page.
I'm deeply affected by this. Deeply affected by this. But like the type of men who would say that kind of thing aren't going to stick around long enough to watch the video. So his whole big message at the end, if he really wanted to be impactful, he would have started with, men, you need to listen to this because this is the examples. Like he would have started with something instead of, by the time anybody gets to that point, those men have already scrolled on to the next video.
Yeah, just like, because they're already thinking, oh, this is just another beta cuck. What's the point of listening to him?
Yeah.
And then so he can, because men like him don't like confrontation with other men, right? And so he that's why he's putting his aggressive stuff at the end, is because he knows they're not going to be watching by then. They've already flicked off. And so you can do all this fake aggression and like the pigeon dance.
But then by then, the women who are watching are already all fired up and angry. So then when he is pretending to speak about men, they're feeling that, yes, he's on our side.
Standing by our side. But really, he's not shouting at anybody. He's like, he's just in a room on his own shouting at the air.
It's like those weird, like those movies when someone wants to be tough after somebody else is already hung up on the other end. And then they're like, I'll see you in hell. And they hang up. But there's nobody there. Like and I mean, we've seen in other screenshots and other content about how profitable this has made him. Like there's one, we're going to show a screenshot where he says like, so far in June, we don't know, I don't know when in June that was, but so far in June, he'd already made $20,000. So he is capitalizing on, he's figured out what is going to be the most profitable. And then he is just banging out that content to just make money. And he says like, it's all going to his wife's cancer treatments. And if that's true, that's fine, but you're still making hundreds of thousands of dollars, because that's only on TikTok. Like he's also got YouTube and I think Facebook and Instagram. You're still making all of this money on the backs of these women who you're not helping at all. You're not changing any men. You're not helping any of these women. You are just sharing trauma.
And he doesn't involve women in the conversation at all. Like, so we look at one of the reasons why we started this podcast, okay? Just to toot our own fucking horn for a second, because it's not hard to do better than this bloke. But we thought, it would be really interesting. Not only are we different nationalities, but it's also a man and a woman. And we can talk about how we view the world as, you know, different genders, different sexes, how we might see the world differently and perceive it differently. And surely people would find that a lot more helpful and beneficial to see how we figure out our dilemmas and how we figure out the conflicts between men and women that happen. And that would be much more helpful than sitting in front of a camera, bitch moaning and complaining.
Robbie is not giving people a different perspective. He is just trauma farming. He's just he's just dumping, like, look at how shitty these other men are. Look at these women. And then he's going to tell those same women whose comments he's reading, oh, just stick it out, love them through it. Like, how does he have those same messages?
And then the big thing that's got him in trouble this time is he did a video basically berating women for their poor choices in mates.
I have a question for you women. Why do you lower your standards? That's not the language of an ally.
No. And anyone that calls themselves an ally could go get fucked, in my opinion, because that's gross. And like, I think
anyone who builds their entire platform around issues that aren't their own, or they don't have
a stake in it.
Yeah. I mean, like hearing women talk about women's issues, you expect that. Hearing, you know, Indigenous people talking about their issues, you expect that. But when it's like this, like, oh, I used to be a bag of shit, but now I'm less of a bag of shit. Let me tell you how I got there.
And then assuming he has narcissistic personality disorder, but like it's self-diagnosed, so he hasn't actually been to a clinician to get that. Also, he says he's cured, right? That
there is
no, there's no cure for NPD. Like, it's not all of them are bad people, but if you're an abusive, aggressive, angry man like he is with NPD, you're not going to change. And then, so he's told people up front, and like, this is how he's tried to control the narrative. And I think that's part of why he's got the 3 million followers. He's gaslit people into thinking that NPD can be cured. And because he's gone, I've got NPD. Oh, by the way, I'm a really nice guy now. So here are all these trauma stories. You've really forgotten about all the other stuff.
And he never talks about, as far as I know, I mean, I haven't done a deep dive into his content, but as far as I know, he's not really talked about, here's how I worked through my NPD. He just said I'm cured, which is kind of like, it's like being an alcoholic, right? If you're a recovering alcoholic, you're always a recovering alcoholic. You're always battling that. With NPD, you'd always have to be doing the work. With a lot of things, you always have to be doing the work. Like I smoked for 20 years and I haven't smoked in 15, but all I know, it takes one cigarette and I'm back to a pack a day. I'm always going to be, I can't even be tempted to have that one. So, but he's never, as far as I know, spoken about, here's the work that I did to get through it. It's always just kind of like, I used to be a terrible husband, but he hasn't shared what his path was to get him out of that place.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ways that you can find out really if someone's a charlatan online, or if they have nefarious intent in mind. Because the way that you can figure out is, okay, do they have a diverse portfolio of content, right? Or is it just monotopic? Robbie Harvey, monotopic, red flag.
Well, I did see a video recently where he was talking about how much his wife likes to have sex, which...
It's all part of the same thing, isn't it? And
but
gross.
It's, yeah, like, why? Like,
Anyway, I want to go back to these red flags quick.
No, sorry, go, yeah.
Right, so red flag number 1 is this monotopic, right? He doesn't talk about a diverse portfolio. The second one is his entire platform is built on someone else's pain and trauma that is specific to that group, and he's not a member of that group. Okay, so there's that.
He's contributed to the abuse of that group.
Exactly, yeah, he's contributed to the oppression and abuse. And number 3 is that he doesn't offer any solutions or insight. And number 4 is a lot of his commentary actually runs counter to what trauma survivors and experts would say. So he's a lot of counter narrative on a lot of it. So that's the 4 things then. So he's a monotopic, not from the group he's talking about. What was the other 2 I said? I've forgotten how I worded it. Yeah, so he's monotopic, not from the group he's talking about, doesn't give any insights or any points to help, and his information runs counter to the accepted consensus on how to do it.
Yeah, you'd think if you wanted to, like, personally, if I was going to build my whole platform on something that I wasn't personally experiencing, I would do the research. I would do the work. I would make sure that what I put out there, I mean, fuck, even in my kick-ass facts, I do my best to fact check them. He's not even tried to do any of the research to give people things that will help them move forward or help them get out of that cycle of abuse. He's just...
It shows that there's no motivation or interest in actually resolving the situation. Or he's just
he doesn't want to help anybody.
He's a parasite.
He doesn't want to help anybody because he's not giving anybody resources or giving them direction on how to get that help.
And a parasite is a good term because it just leeches off the main body and doesn't provide anything in return.
Yeah, and like think of how he's got a ton of videos where he's doing this. So he's getting all of these stories in he's getting he's got 3 million followers. He's getting thousands upon thousands of comments every day. And a vast majority of them would be women sharing their own stories. So he is reading all of that, soaking all of that in, and then being like, ooh, that's a good one. I'll save that one for my video. Like just that mindset of it. And he's been doing it for so long that if it was genuine, because I've seen other creators who are doing it genuinely, they get burnt out.
Yeah.
And you see them making a video, being like, I don't know how long I can do this for. I need a break from this because it's affecting me emotionally. And the fact that he's been doing this for as long as he has.
And he's got more life. It gives him life.
Yeah. The fact that at no point is he like, this is affecting me emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Like it's exhausting me. That he's never done that. That he still makes videos with that same kind of like hidden smirk. Is concerning. That at no point is he like tapping out on that content.
Yeah, exactly. It's my my very well attuned spidey sense tingled from him from day one. I saw his first video. And I mean, I haven't seen enough of his videos until recently, until I'm seeing more, because the stuff that I would see would just be those, here's what men have said, and it's like, okay, that's what that is. But now seeing a lot of things being uncovered of messages that he has sent to people, conversations that he has had with people, and he's not walking the talk, as it were. I mean, this is like he's even got dead eyes. Like you look at his eyes, and there's just nothing there when you look at his facial expression.
It's an act. It's an act.
And I'll show you actually if there was one bit specifically in the video where I was like, that is clearly faked. And I'll show you what I mean.
This channel is not about you, it's about these women.
And by the way, that's actually bollocks, because he always makes a big thing about how he's trying to help men be different. So it's supposed to be about men and the way that we treat women. That's what it's supposed to be about. But that's why he's talking bollocks.
You're too caught up in your emotions.
That was it. Yeah, this is it.
Right there. The little frown.
Yeah. Like the upside down frown thing.
He does that a lot.
But watch how he does it, okay? Look at the delay between him finishing speaking and where the angry face comes up. Like, see how long? That was like a second.
It's almost like he read a book about micro expressions and then he was like, I gotta do it. Because and he does it a lot, almost after every read. If he's not shaking his head, he's doing the frown.
And his head shaking thing, it looks like he's trying to conceal smirks. So
yeah, it does.
So that first one there with the turned down mouth, it did feel very much like he's watched Lie to Me, and now he thinks that that's what micro expressions look like. So he's got to put it in every now and again.
He's got to make sure that his micro are a bit more macro so people see it.
Yeah,
because it's also not really. I mean, he does it almost after every comment that he reads. The first one, I think, if we go back to the beginning of the video, the first one he does is a little bit more aggressive. Like he's really working it. Because you think, especially like, it's such a put on, because it's not like he's reading them for the first time and having a genuine reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
He's already read them. He's cultivated them. He's compiled them. He knows what what he's gonna read.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that I've tried to record videos without any like stoppages in the video, and sometimes you gotta you fuck it up. You gotta go back and do it a couple of times. So this likely isn't his first take. So and even if it is, he's compiled that information. He knows exactly what he's gonna say. So he's had those reactions.
He's rehearsed it.
These are all rehearsed reactions. These are not natural.
You knew what you were signing up for. Now be quiet and let me finish.
That there, right? So yeah, he does the first thing, then he makes his voice all shaky deliberately, and then he conceals a smirk. Like
with his head down.
Yeah. And then watch his lips.
Finish. When you tell me
he conceals the smirk. On his left side, his mouth's going up.
He did it's in almost every video. Like there's a part of him that enjoys it.
Yeah, totally. So he's curated these stories. He's already read them. And for example, with the agony aunts that we do in GVizzle Sizzle, you haven't heard of them. Like you don't know what I'm delivering to you. So all of your reactions are genuine. So if somebody was to go through and watch how you react to those stories compared to how he reacts to his little porn collection there, I think people would see what the difference is in a genuine reaction compared to a faked one. And the fact that his fake reactions are so consistently the same all the way through. And he keeps repeating the same facial expressions. There's no diversity. And the last thing is he's rehearsed it, right? So any one of us, when we're going through our TikToks, we have fillers. We're like in and ahhing. Sometimes like we have to stop and start, and there's a lot of jumbled up stuff in the TikTok, and so there's even the most trained person, you can see that if they haven't rehearsed it, there's just all of that natural just messiness in their speech. But here he doesn't stutter. He has no ums and ahs. It's all perfect cadence, very carefully curated all the way through and perfectly delivered. He has to do each one several times. Especially if you, at the end, right? Like if you're just reading off something, you're just reading off something, right? Like when I read the Kick-Ass Facts, I read off the Kick-Ass Facts. It's right in front of me as his comments were. When he got to the end, if he was that upset, you would see the upset. You would see a stumble of words. You would see something. Unless he's a professional speaker by trade, you would have
real emotion that comes through. But
Exactly.
it was so like, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to point to the camera here and do that. Like, and he's not the only one, certainly, who does it. There are a lot of folks who do that because they cultivate that image, but it's
a combination, isn't it, of everything?
When you've practiced it that much, the genuineness of the emotion, it gets lost. Maybe the first time he did it, it was more realistic, but by the time he puts it out there, it's like exaggerated head shake, conceal smirk.
A good example would be, we probably haven't got the episode out yet, but I tell a sad story about a cat I found on the road.
Yes.
And on the day it happened, I was called you to try and tell you about it, but I couldn't get my words out and I was just crying. And then, yeah, pussy, I know, whatever. And then the next day you're like, do you want to talk about it? And I was like, I don't think I actually can. And then when we did it on the podcast, I got through it fine. And there was no, so you could see
you were removed from it.
Yeah. And but there's no sign of that actually happening for him. So, well, it's time for the ad break.
I'm not saying you need to own as many pairs of glasses as I do, but I'm also not saying you need to own as many pairs of glasses as I do. Look at the selection of these frames. They are amazing. Head over to GVizzle at the end of this episode, not now. Head over to GVizzle. There is a link and promo code in the description of this video. Promo code GVizzle15 will save you 11% on orders over $50 and 15% on orders over $100. And just come on. Look how beautiful these frames are. I just can't get enough of them. GVizzle.com.
The story behind this is that there was a woman who had seen one of his videos, commented on the video. He highlighted the comment and reached out to her. Shit ensued, which she gets into in this. And then she saw him a couple months later come up on an ad for BetterHealth, which is a mental health app. And then this is the letter she wrote then to the app about her experience with him.
Yeah, because I think it was that they met through TikTok in like 2021, and then he resurfaced and found her again later on LinkedIn, was it?
I can't remember. We'll get through the story when we read through it, but it's her reaching out to that app to be like, this is the spokesperson that you have chosen.
Yeah.
To make them aware.
Yeah, so Kasey is writing to BetterHelp. She says, hello, Alon. My name is Kasey. I'm 39, married for 16 years, a teacher and mother to 5. I learned through some research that you are the founder of BetterHelp and wanted to reach out to make you aware of the behaviors of one of your sponsors on TikTok, Robbie Harvey. During this time, around spring, summer 21, I discovered Robbie Harvey's channel on TikTok and commented on a video of his. He highlighted my comment, praising my testimony of faithfulness despite 15 years. So at this point, I'll say that a lot of this is blocked out. That's just to preserve anonymity for Kasey. And there's some stuff she doesn't want out there. So that meant a lot to me, to get the recognition from a man and the validation I was desperately seeking at the time. So I followed him back. So I followed him and he immediately followed me back. And they began to message back and forth. He was asking her questions. So he then asked me if I would be willing to help him create a forum for abused women. He said he really needed my help and assistance with creating the forum and shared with me his usernames, passwords, etc. His following was growing close to 1 million around that time, and I felt honored to be asked that I really wanted to help women in similar situations as myself. He then asked me if I had an Instagram account and if he wanted to share a picture of his wife and their new house with me, so I shared my information with him. On Instagram, he sent sexy photos of his wife he had taken, told me that he and his wife talked openly about sex and that she was okay with him having women friends. He proceeded to ask me explicit questions about sex, if I thought of other men while I had sex with my husband, and if I thought of him when I had sex with my husband. I remember him asking that question and how it made me feel. I stared at the screen for a long time, and I can't really see what the rest of the words are, but it seems like she's changed the subject. And it made her feel very uncomfortable. She began to question what purpose he had in asking her the questions. He told me multiple times that I had every reason to cheat on my husband, that he deserved blank, and that I should cheat secretly and leave him once my kids were older and left home. Grooming. I have morals and standards, blanked. I wouldn't ever consider cheating, blank. I distinctly remember telling this to Robbie. He told me that I'd easily be able to find another man, blank. I shared my experience with a close friend shortly after my last conversation with Robbie, and they confirmed that he wasn't a good person to talk with. That's a good friend. I trusted my gut and decided then to block his account from mine on TikTok. I felt safe from him until a few months ago when an ad from your company had him appearing, showed on my social media feed. It was terrifying for me to see someone who took advantage of my situation promoting counselling services. It was through individual counselling that I was able to recognise how Robbie used the vulnerability, elicit his grooming behaviours towards me to make me feel special so that he could ask explicit sexual questions he had. Yep. I hope my message prompts BetterHelp to take a good look at the individuals they choose to sponsor, especially when it involves sensitive topics in mental health. As I've come to learn, you really do not know someone's true intentions or moral compass from a few 1-minute videos they share on TikTok. My goal here isn't to publicly shame Mr. Harvey, but to hold him accountable for his actions and hopefully protect the abused women he claims to support from the wolf himself in sheep's clothing. And I just want to say quick that, like, we got this from a TikTok account. And I'll put her, it's not Kasey's account, but I'll put her handle in the description because she's really good.
She shared it with, Kasey shared it with that TikTok account, and that TikToker got explicit permission to share it, and everything that was redacted at Kasey's request.
Yeah, because it's, because it's so hard to find good so-called coaches especially on TikTok, and there's a lot of them. And then this woman specializes in sort of like basically abusive partners, like narcissists and all that stuff, because narc is something that's very misused, but this creator uses it very well. I think her name's Geneva.
Yes.
She knows what she's talking about, and she's one of the few on there that actually does talk about the stuff properly. So I'll link her in the description because she is worth watching.
Absolutely. And now what's interesting is that even with videos like Geneva's, who have shared this with Kasey's story, and there have been other people who've shared screenshots of conversations of like text exchanges with Robbie, so it's clearly his. There are still a ton of women who are like, leave him alone, he's one of the good ones. And he's done a really good job of pulling the wool over people's eyes and fooling them into thinking that he's on women's side.
And then that's the thing, is that a lot of this stuff out there, like in a lot of these cases, it's hearsay, you don't know what's doctored and what's not. But no, this stuff is all legit.
There's screenshots of text exchanges.
Yeah, like, but they're from verified sources, basically.
There was one I saw, went back and forth, where he was like when I talked about the $20,000 in June, like he was sharing with somebody how much he was making from the different platforms. It's like, if your intent is really to be helpful, then you're not like, look at me, look at all the money I'm making.
Exactly. And then you would be sending some of that money, spreading it around a bit to help other creators and to help people in need and stuff.
Or put it to, I mean, like he's saying that it's going to help with his wife's cancer treatments, which I'm sure, but if you really wanted to help these women's groups and these women's support groups, then divert some of the funds to those groups. If you're making 20 grand in a month, take some of it at least and give it out.
What happened to Kasey there, that is textbook grooming. That you could put that in a fucking textbook. You
should leave your husband. You're young and attractive. You can find another man. You should be cheating on him. Are you thinking about me when you're with your husband? Like, what the fuck? Yeah,
it is dodgy, fucking dodgy. He is, and this is the thing: is that the reason why he has so many followers and he has so many women, even now, sticking up for him in the face of all evidence, is because he is an abusive man. And this is what they do to women. They do it to other men too, but women are the main targets.
It's like he just found a different avenue for it. Like maybe his tactics before weren't working so much, or it wasn't being as successful. So this is a different avenue. Maybe it was legit. Maybe it started off legit, and then it just gave him that sense of like
he relapsed
power.
into his old ways.
Perhaps, right? Like he's got this like, oh, this is the response I'm getting from women is making me feel really good. I can probably take advantage of this.
Yeah.
And if he's just a self-diagnosed narcissist and he hasn't actually received any sort of counseling or therapy for any issues that he does have, then he's not going to recognize that he's getting off on it. He's going to think he's doing good works because he's getting this message out there.
Yeah. Oh. And then all of these people are basically like validating him then basically. And they're going to keep throwing money at him. It makes me fucking sick, to be honest.
And then I didn't see the apology videos he put out, but apparently he put out an apology video for his, I have a question for you women, which is always nice language. And then apparently that was deleted. And then he put out another apology video and that was also deleted. So he's not even like, he's so good at fake rage, but he's not good at a genuine apology.
Yeah, yeah. And he would have done better if he brought a ukulele out. He's just pulled the wool over so many people's eyes, and it makes me sick that actually, I'll tell you, it really fucking pisses me off and frustrates me that my account is throttled. I called this out months ago. I said what he was like, and it doesn't go anywhere. And then all of these people are getting abused by this man now because nobody fucking listened. And it upsets me. Try to warn people about it.
Well, I think that's what it always takes, right? Like if we think back to a lot of these TikTok dramas, when one person calls out a large creator, all the people jump in and support that large creator until more and more people start giving evidence, right? Like it takes one to kind of get the ball rolling, but that first one is always going to be vilified because how come you're seeing it and nobody else is seeing it? Until other people now, you see the comments and they're like, he was always janky at the beginning. I never felt. Now people are saying, I never liked him from the beginning.
Yeah.
But they weren't saying it then. They're saying it now. Because a lot of people, it's that, like you said, he's the kind of man who doesn't want to stick up or confront other men, but a lot of people are the same. You don't want to say that thing because then people are going to jump on you. So you don't want to be jumped on. So you just leave it until more voices are being heard. And then you're like, okay, I can add mine to the mix now because it's safer. Yeah. We saw it once in that way back when I did a video about social experiments. And there's that one where they have a person in a room and smoke starts filtering through the door. One person is the only non-actor. Everybody else pretends that they're not noticing the smoke. So the person who is seeing the smoke is just kind of like, I guess it's okay when you should be yelling fire. Nobody wants to be the first one to yell fire. Yeah. Look, at least yell smoke. Yeah.
And there was, so I've remembered his apology video. Basically, he said it got lots of feedback from people and stuff. And then, bearing in mind, in that video, he was talking to women. And then the only people in his first apology video whose clips he showed was other men. He didn't show a single woman in there.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that video.
You can't get it
back. But the
funny.
irony of someone who says they're a self-proclaimed, self-diagnosed narcissist having their username, the Robbie Harvey. But I'm cured. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I wonder who's going to be next. I wonder who's going to get called out next. Because it only ever happens. They have to step out of line and do something really heinous. And I think that was one of the issues last time was because I was calling him out in relation to how he speaks to men and the Stephen Crowder abusing his wife situation. And then because of where that was in the zeitgeist, it's not the same as what happened here.
No, I think yours kind of got lost in the shuffle and got conflated with Stephen Crowder. So it stopped being about Robbie Harvey and more about Stephen Crowder. So I think that was just the timing of that didn't land the way
and this
it
is
could
more
have
serious.
if it were now.
And then what he did this time was a lot more serious and actually shows how abusive he is.
I think it took this because up until now, a lot of it has been just reading trauma.
Yeah.
So you didn't really, unless you were really paying attention to his facial expressions, to like really giving thought to, this isn't the first time he's reading these things. So why is he being so fake emotion? once you get through that, and then you start to hear his language and how he's like, question for you women. And what I said to my wife is, do you understand? Just the language that he still uses. And then says, it's okay to snap. It's okay to snap at your partner. It's like, not that way. There's a right way and a wrong way to snap. And there's also a right way and a wrong way to get through it, because he never said what he did was wrong. He never apologized for what he did. He said, no, that was fine because I snapped. What matters is how I make up for it afterwards. So I'll love bomb her after, so she forgets that I was a piece of shit before. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's, yeah. So I think it takes something very significant like that for people to notice, to get them called out. And then there's like a critical mass of people have to notice it at the same time. And then there's enough people then talking about it. The algorithm goes, oh, there's something here, and then pushes all the content out.
It's true, because there's a lot of people that I'm seeing in comments of other videos that are like, I've never even heard of him until now. So I went and watched some of his videos, and holy shit. So I think the algorithm curated him to the people who would be receptive to that content. And then it just took that one video to get out where he used that language. And it was just kind of like, what's this all about?
And I think one of the things that I'm struggling to get it related to people in this way is because I don't like calling out individual people, right? Because I hate it when Tizzy Ent does it, for example. But he's another one like Robbie Harvey. He's exactly the same. But
we're also not doxing.
Yeah, exactly. And
calling on the World Wide Web to like find this person because they were shitty.
And then so I just talk in general, like, so I'd be talking to people about the kind of stuff that we were speaking about today, like how to spot the charlatans online. But then without somebody to present as an example, it's very hard to get people to tune into the video so that I can actually warn you about people like Robbie Harvey, like, because
and it's so, okay, so we don't want to be guilty of doing the same thing he does, and we've given up those red flags, right? He's not a member of that group. He's not offering any solutions. Like, those are the things that we need to be on the watch out for. If somebody is calling something out because there are other people who do it, but they do it in a way that's not so exploitive. Like, this just feels like he's exploiting these women's experiences. And he's not calling attention to it. He's just exploiting it.
And I think that's the thing, is that because there are other people that do talk about it, like say Big Bro Bear, he does really good content. People should check him out. Very caring guy. And he talks about all manner of things. And so Robbie Harvey specifically is laser focused on, it's almost like a special interest level of focus, that he's on abused and battered women, right? That's all he is. But then Big Bro Bear will talk about all forms of abuse, no matter what your demographic like group is. He'll spend time on each aspect of it.
And when he does it, he also will call out, you see that? This is the behavior they're demonstrating. This is what they're doing. He will break down those videos where he's just like, guys, look at this I found. Like, it just feels like he's just, it's trauma porn.
Yeah. And then again, like Big Bro Bear being a good example of how to do it positively is that he obviously has real compassion. He's been through shit himself. Like, he's been a victim, and he's offering solutions, like, we can combat it by doing X, Y, and Z. And
he's got the professional credentials to back it up. And it's less for him about being an ally as it is for being an advocate. And he's trying to affect change, not just pat people on the back and say, like, I know that's too bad for you.
Exactly. And he doesn't ask people to send in their stories so he can milk it for trauma porn and get 20 grand a month out of it. No, one of the things he does do is he encourages people to make their own videos and either write in the comments their experiences or stitch his video with your experiences. I've done that on a couple of his, just because, and then he's bringing people out and centering them as part of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, he starts all of his videos being like and share, because it helps. It helps here to get that message out there, where that's not the case with the Robbie Harvey.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, because somebody with a platform that size could be doing some good. He could be affecting change if he was sincere in what he was trying to accomplish. I think he's just trying to make himself feel better. He's trying to make himself feel like, I was bad, but I was probably never this bad. I never said things this shitty. So it's just about making himself feel, he said he's making himself feel better about not being the type of guy who would assault his wife when she gets home from the hospital after a miscarriage. Right? Like, I'm a piece of shit, but this guy's a bigger piece of shit. So
yeah. Although to everybody else in society who isn't that way at all, we see them all as the same thing. Equally shitty, no matter what they do. And that's the bit he can't quite grasp.
No. And then he also tries to make, when he had, in I think a bit of his apology video, I think it was an apology video, he was like, I've talked to a lot of women for hours.
Yeah.
Trying to make it sound like, see, they're willing to talk to me. But a couple of the women he tagged, he didn't talk to.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah. There was a few feminist creators in that I actually follow. They're really good. Yep.
And then they were making videos being like, you tagged me? You didn't talk to me. But he tagged big accounts because it's, if the big accounts are backing him up, then, he's okay then.
Yeah, exactly. So he's trying to win the popularity contest. And this is what I mean. Like, it's the collection of all of these red flags together in this specific order and, in this sort of layout. That's why he's
and I think
avoided.
it just took some time to unfold. It took time to put all the pieces together. You've got to get some diversity in the content, and the fact that it's just the same over and over and over again and it's not wearing on him mentally that's a red flag for me.
Yeah, it's super concerning. Like, I mean, again, this is just by way of comparison, just because I know myself more than I know other people. But like, we've known each other for about 1.5 years now. And there's been a few times where I've been going through the sex offender stuff. And even though I'm used to it and I'm practiced at it and I've been through it a lot, I even message you sometimes like, I need a break. And I'll take a couple of weeks break off TikTok just because it's so depressing.
And there are times like, because we do that what the fuck segment. So I spend a lot of time in some like shady subreddits to get content for that. And after a little bit, I'm like, I can't do it anymore. Like, I need to just like watch some happy cartoons and do whatever, because it does start to wear on you if you internalize that. But if you are so far removed from that content that it doesn't affect you, then it's not genuine concern. It's not sincere. It's not empathy that you're expressing. It's just, it's an act. Because
actual real emotions that you really feel and that you show to the world, they're energy draining. It does exhaust you. Just like being angry all the time, or but like the range of emotion that he pretended to have in that video earlier is that if he was like that every single time he read those messages, he would be exhausted after reading 5 or 6. He wouldn't be able to keep doing it.
No, but he does. He puts it all out there. I'm curious to see how this unfolds.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes and whether, like, what's his strategy going to be for trying to so-called redeem himself?
Because his damage control hasn't helped so far, because he made 2 apology videos and they've both been since deleted as far as I know. And even the apology videos are getting him more like, the fuck is this, than the original videos.
Yeah. And it's because the genie's out the bottle now. Because it's different to how when other creators make a mistake and then people call them out and everyone hates them for a few weeks and they get cancelled and silenced for a while, but they come back after a few weeks, they do a faux apology and then carry on with their lives. But when it's to do with this sort of stuff and someone's so abusive, then you can't put the genie back in that bottle. Like, this is when it's you, like who you actually are at a fundamental level, you can't erase any of that.
And a lot of now, anything he does from this point forward is going to be really seen under a different lens than it was before. Like, there are some people, right? They fuck up. It's a sincere apology. They move on. They don't demonstrate those same behaviors. But because it wasn't such a pattern of behavior, people are kind of like, okay, you made a mistake. You learn from it. Let's move forward. His way forward is to change his entire platform, because he can't continue with the way with what he's been doing. He can't just be like, mea culpa, let's read some shit that men said to their wives. He can't continue on that same path, because that path is shown to be a false path.
Yeah. I'm actually wondering if like he's going to do like a complete 180 and then he's going to do all the same things, but about men being abused by their
Here's
partners.
shitty things women have said to their men.
Yeah.
I could see this. If I had a prediction, it would be that this would just fuel his abuse, because it'll be like, fuck, I try to do this good things for these women and they don't even appreciate it. Fuck those women. And it's just going to fully 180 it.
And that is something that a lot of people have expressed concern about, is like, is his wife actually okay? Because again, like there's no allegedly in this. He's admitted to being an abusive husband.
It's interesting also the path that he took, because in something that I saw, he said that his wife encouraged him, because he was having a hard time dealing with his wife's cancer diagnosis. So she encouraged him, like, get it out, be creative, do something with it. And what he chose to do with it was find shitty things men had said about their wives when they got sick. Like that's a weird path to take. That like from I'm struggling to deal with you being sick to, oh, here's some really shitty things men have said to their wives when they were sick. Like that leap is an unusual route to take. Like you'd think his platform would either be on the opposite side of like, I need to do something creative and light because what's happening at home is so dark, or it would be, help me get through this, because I've seen a lot of creators who were dealing with a sick partner and their videos are more like, these are the emotions I'm feeling today. This is what we're doing today. This is what's happening. But he just went from like that circuitous route that it took him to get there is really confusing to me.
Well, I think it's what you said earlier on in the episode. I think now you've explained it like that, I actually think you're bang on the money, is that these might be things that he wants to say. These are things that he wants to do. And then so by reading them, he's living vicariously through these abusive men, because he just wants to slap his fucking wife because she won't get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you even tried not being sick?
Can we get some alkaline water here? Because it is a weird, like now that I'd never thought of it in those terms before, but now that I'm thinking of like, his wife was like, do something creative, probably more of a like, fuck off, I can't deal with you right now, I got my own shit going on. And his mind went to shitty things men have said. Like that's a weird leap.
You have to have a very strange perspective on reality of where he's at the time in order to link those two things.
Like, I'm wondering if maybe he said some shitty shit to his wife and she was like, I can't believe you said that to me. And then he was like, I'm sure other men say the same thing. And maybe it's like,
I looked it up and then
it was meant to be his gotcha to her, because I can't imagine that being where you go with it.
The other thing I find quite odd, right? And I've seen people talk about these in isolation, like the bad stuff he says and the good stuff he said, but people, I think we need to link them a bit more explicitly. So when he says about the stuff that the shitty things that men say to their wives, but the stuff that he thinks are good things to say to and about your wife is fucking weird.
Yeah, he's making videos about how his wife likes sex. Like, she's actively going through cancer treatments and he's talking about their sex life. Yeah. Like, is that, what's that supposed to be? Like, how are we supposed to respond to that?
Yeah, like, and he thinks that that is a positive thing to say about your wife, who not only is it fucking personal between you and your wife, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't want 3 million people knowing about it, but secondly, she's got fucking cancer. I don't think she's putting out much at the moment, you know? And like, why is your first...
Which is probably why he's trying to encourage other women to cheat.
Yeah, so that he can get his end away. So it's fucking just... It is weird. And then the thing is as well, like in what Kasey was saying about how, encouraging her, like, oh, you could do better, you could cheat, it would be so, and like the way he's setting her up through the conversation, building it up gradually, like starting off with, oh, so when you have sex with your husband, do you think about other men? You know, and like building it up with
do you think about me?
Yeah.
Should you be thinking about me? You could get other men.
Yeah. And then he's kind of like trying to get her to think of him as that other guy that she could possibly have if she wanted.
Yeah, it's he's really building that layering of, are you thinking about other men? And then laying that foundation of maybe she will be thinking about other men, and then putting himself into that scenario. Yeah. And then sidetrack, you should have an affair.
Yeah, and I tell you what, like another thing of just from a guy's perspective of him talking about that. Okay, so I find it weird that he is thinking about having sex with other women when his wife has cancer, right? I find that really grotesque, and that he's trying to encourage other women to cheat on their partners, whether with him or not, you know, that is a bit of speculation, but we're pretty sure. And he's still he's thinking actively about pursuing sex with other women while his wife is so ill. I mean, I remember like when my partner had that the tumor on her parotid gland, and after she had the operation, she was wiped out for 2 weeks. I had to do night shifts at work, and then during the day, I had to like look after her and prepare her food and everything. And I was getting like 4 hours sleep a day. The last thing on my fucking mind was shagging other women. Like, I had nothing sexual in my body at the time. It was.
And I'm wondering, like, what the timing is. Like, did he? Again, I don't know enough about like his backstory, but when did he stop being an abusive partner? Was it when his wife got sick, or did he already stop before that? And then his wife got sick, and he's like, I got to help other women or other men. Like, the timing is it's
very odd.
Question mark.
Like, what was the catalyst, as you say? Like, there must have been an incident or something where he was like, I'm better now. So, you know, and then kind of going through that process, because like a lot of the time abusive men, I don't think realize that they're abusive. Like, they think their behavior is acceptable and that they're not abusive.
Yeah, because nobody wants to be abusive. I don't think anybody plans to be abusive.
No,
you just are. And then
you're a piece of shit, and you don't realize you are because you're ignorant that you are.
Until somebody calls it out, somebody tells you, somebody makes you have a, you know, that reckoning of this is who you are.
And then there's even a lot of discussions going on now. This is why I would encourage any blokes listening to this just to go follow some feminist accounts and stuff, because some things that you don't think are abusive actually are. You know, we've all been there, like accidentally been abusive to people in different ways, but and to different levels of extremes. But it's not until you hear the other gender's perspective that you realize what it is you're doing, you know. And I would say as well, like to women, like I would say go listen to some men's accounts, but it's quite hard finding any that actually talk about men's issues properly, and they're not all about women hating.
That is fact. So we'll get to see how Robbie unfolds over the next little while, and
it's going to be exciting.
See what happens.
Have a good day, fuckface.
You too, banana tits.
How do you know they look like bananas? I've got a top on.